What's up, guys? We are live.
What's going on, Rob?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
I can't complain. Great to have you again on the channel, hosting another one of these Loopcloud workshops, I believe we're calling it, yeah?
Yeah, production workshop. Yeah.
Very cool. Hello to everybody who's already here. Hopefully most of you who submitted your tracks from the last remix contest, or I guess mix contest that we had 2 weeks ago, are here because we've chosen 10 tracks to go through today. We're going to go ahead and play you 10 of the project files that people sent to us, and then we're going to talk about what we really liked about them and where some improvement could happen. Now, obviously, music is self-expression, music is art, so we're not going to touch too much on, that sort of thing. We're just going to be talking primarily about technical stuff, how much you used in terms of Loopcloud's effects, processing, filtering, automation, editing, things of that nature, and how well your balance was. It was open to any genre. It was open to any BPM, so it was quite open in terms of that. But obviously, you had that one sample pack, the Crazy Ibiza. Am I saying that right, Rob? I always get it.
Crazy Ibiza, yeah, or Crazy Ibiza or something.
Yeah. So you had to use just samples from that. For the most part, everybody submitted the Loopcloud session file as they were supposed to. I think we got 1 or 2 wave files, which, as we said, we weren't even going to listen to. And just keep that in mind, because we're going to be doing a lot of these types of contests where you say or send in Loopcloud session files. And I'm sure Rob at some point today can show you again how to do that. There's probably a tutorial on the channel already on how to do that if you're confused, but it's very easy. It's a very small file. You send it to us, we open it up in Loopcloud, and we hear exactly what you had done inside of your Loopcloud application. So that's the way we're going to be doing it from now on. And for the most part, it seems like people got that, but just in case you're new here, that's the way we're going to be doing it. And as I said, Rob will show you that in a little bit. So for today, as I said, we're going to run through 10 project files, actually 11, because one of our friends from Plugin Boutique submitted one, a really long one, but a really good one, and we want to show you kind of his version of how he tackled this particular remix competition.
It's not in the contest.
It's not yet. He did a 32-bar loop, so he's automatically disqualified, and and obviously he's part of the company, so we said you can't be a part of it, and I gave him a little hit, but he understands now. But it's a really good file, and I think you guys will get a lot of information on it and how we used it. And then we've got 5 giveaways throughout the stream, and perhaps we can do one run right now, Rob. Does that sound good?
Do one now.
Yeah, so whoever's here already, go ahead and just comment in the chat. Obviously, hit the like button. That's kind of standard these days. But if you comment in the chat, my friend Andre is going to pick up your name, and at the end of the stream, we're going to announce 5 winners of 500 Loopcloud points. And this is the first one, and obviously scattered throughout the full stream. We'll be doing this again, so you just keep the chat active, and we're going to be picking 5 people to get that. And then at the very end of the stream, after we've reviewed all of these tracks and kind of gone through each one of them, we're going to start another remix contest with some really great prizes. So stick around to the end so you can be involved with that as well. Is that about right? Did I miss anything,
I think
Rob?
that's a good summary, mate. There's one other thing we're going to be doing halfway through. We're going to be doing a little feature just to sort of break up the entry feedback. We're going to be doing a feature on the label of the week, month, the featured label.
I believe it's a featured label, and they're a brand new label on Loop Masters. If I believe that's what the deal is. It's AIM Audio. They've got 3 packs. Available in Loopcloud and available on Loop Masters. I've listened to the demos, and they sound really great. So I'm excited for you to show off what those are all about. But yeah, halfway through the stream, we're going to go through that and just give you a little peek at AIM Audio. And this is something we'll be doing on these streams from time to time, just to let you guys know what's new and what's featured and where you should be checking out, going to get your loops and one-shots and whatnot.
Yeah. So should we kick off with the first entry?
Sure.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen now is Rob is going to go ahead and take you into Loopcloud, play the track, and then I'll come back and we'll discuss what we liked about it and where there might be room for improvement, so you guys can do better on the next remix contest and your regular productions inside of Loopcloud.
Yeah. So let's jump over to Loopcloud I should have it all loaded up here, and let's just have a play through. Just check the level isn't going to be too loud. I'm going to turn it down a bit. That's it. That's the entry. It's by Alan Tokey. Is that right? You're back, by the way, Josh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's Alan Tokey, right? That's the entry number 1.
That's the first entry from. I got Alan here as the name, and hopefully he's in the chat. I'm not going to look at chat because I'll get distracted by it. But if you want, we can go ahead and just jump into what we liked about it and why it made the list.
Yeah. If you tell me how you feel, and then I'll go in and like highlight a few bits in Loopcloud. So yeah, shoot.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, for the most part, it was an instant groove. As soon as I hit play, you know, those drums with that bass line, and I instantly had a housey vibe to it. It is very reminiscent of Crazy Ibiza and the pack as a whole, but overall I'd say, you know, if that was on somewhere like at a restaurant or something and I just heard, you know, it could kind of start to get me in the mood maybe to open up a party or something. Other than that though, I'd have to say there wasn't a lot in terms of editing going on. There was a bunch of vocal chops that he did use some editing. He did some proper sound design there with a nice filter sweep in on it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And, you know, other than that, I think he did pitch some things as well, use that pitch tool inside of the tool set inside of Loopcloud. Let me just double check. I've got it open, so I want to make sure I'm not getting anything wrong here. I think on the pads, yeah, he did add some movement there on the pads, which is another thing, you know, it's in terms of being creative. He took those loops and made it a little bit different and flow a little bit differently, and that's definitely a big plus. In terms of, but I mean, that's kind of like where it stopped though for me. One thing he did do is use 3 of the 8 tracks. You only get 8 tracks inside of Loopcloud to start these remix contests. Obviously, if you're using Loopcloud to start your project, you're going to move it into your DAW. Then this what I'm about to say doesn't matter. But for these particular remix contests, we're going to be doing a bunch of them just to give you the information. He's using 3 tracks with effects, the swooshes and the whooshes and these things. And like for me, that's a bunch of realty that could be used to make the track a little bit more full, or maybe add a little bit more, you know, accompaniment or, you know, something. I mean, just using 3 of your 8 tracks to do effects, and this is actually a theme throughout the project, so I'll actually probably bring that up a little bit, but I think that was a missed opportunity, because the track as it is right now is already really good. It's got a ton of potential, but you could have sculpted it further and really pushed it into, you know, top 3 for this remix contest if you'd utilized those other tracks. So, I mean, that's just what I gleaned from it. Again, though, I mean, as soon as I press play, I instantly got the vibe I think you were going for, and you know, that's really what it's all about in the end. So, great job, Alan.
Yeah, nice one. Thanks, Josh. I'm going to pop back to Loopcloud then and just show you a few bits that Josh was referring to, and also a couple of my comments, and then we'll quickly come back and get your score before we move on to the next one. So jumping into Loopcloud then, yeah, you can see, I agree, by the way, with Josh. It has a nice feel to it. It's very appropriate for the genre, but the genre is the same as the Crazy Beaters. Is, you know, it's a house style, and yeah, things have been used. You know, the drum is actually a kick loop, so it's not a full drum loop, but I guess there's a tops in there as well, I think. So one thing Josh was referring to is this sort of pad here. So it's got it going up and down there, and it's a nice jazzy chord, it's a nice 7th chord. So going up and down there in a couple of semitones means it's sort of alternating between the 7th and the 6th, which creates a really nice harmony throughout. So it's quite a simple edit there, but it creates a really, really nice musicality of the kind of track overall. The other thing, this is the main effects bit. that Josh was talking about, and it's the most detailed bit, I guess. It's the vocal chops. Won't play the whole thing, but you can see it's a high pass filter here, and the cutoff is sweeping down across the whole phrase there, sort of opening up right at the end. Which keeps it nice and varied, throughout the whole arrangement. And then there's a bit of delay there, adding a bit of width, and also a short vocal as well, so you're getting a bit more presence and depth. So that track was really nicely processed, but I agree with Josh. You didn't necessarily need to use quite so many for effects, and some of the other parts could have been automated in a more extreme way to create the same sort of thing, like a big reverb hit or something like that, and then you wouldn't have necessarily needed to use quite so many tracks for effects. So going back to Josh then, what was your score for that one then, Josh?
I think overall, in terms of composition, it was a 7 because, as I said, as soon as I put it on, I got the vibes. And, in music, that's really what's most important. It also was mixed fairly well. It didn't have anything that was too harsh or too in my face. Everything was sort of balanced really nice, so that's where I would land it on a 7 there out of 10. And then for creativity, I gave it a 5 just because, again, a lot of missed opportunity with using the 3 effects on 3 tracks and not a lot of editing going on. There was that vocal chop, but just I feel like this producer, Alan, can really do much more than he did here. But, I mean, what he did do was A-okay. So I'm going 12 out of 20 on that one.
Nice one. I went with, well, my categories are quality and originality, but exactly the same thing. It's essentially overall production quality, which includes the mix, and then originality, which is creativity, how much you've done with it, essentially. And I was a little bit more generous than Josh. I went with 8 and 6, and so like 1 more on each, which makes 14 in total. Maybe I was a bit generous there, but yeah, not a bad score.
No, it's really, like I said, really great job. And as I said in the very beginning of the stream, these are just our opinions. We're not professionals, and if you're like, no, you're completely wrong, then that's okay. Don't think we're out here trying to be like, no, you need to produce like Joshua or you need to produce like Rob. It's the only way you're gonna be able to make it. That's not what we're saying. We're just trying to steer you into the area where you might be better down the road. So that's all we're trying to do here. It's all good is what I'm trying to say. And just keep that in mind while we're moving forward. So if you want to move on to number 2 now, this was from Ardal. I'm not quite sure. Forgive me, I'm not saying that right for sure. Gulseven. If you're in the chat, say hello. This was number 2, and it had a lot going for it. It had a lot of really unique reverb automation, I noticed, on a bunch of different ones. The first one that caught my ear was they had some reverb automation on the kick drum. And it works really well. It adds a groove. It makes you hear it, and it makes you kind of bounce a little bit more than maybe if you didn't. So I thought that was a really unique approach. It's not something I've ever done or ever seen done. So I thought that was cool. The bass line was good and chopped. Another thing, like we've already been saying, I like it when you get in there and you make it your own. You've got a really nice bass loop to begin with, but you can make it your own by chopping it up, moving it around, adding automation, processing, reversing here, moving there. Great stuff.
Shall I play it? Shall I play it before you carry on with your? Then you do the rest of the comments, or do you want to do all your comments and we'll play it through?
Yeah. I mean, you can go ahead and play it, and then we can jump into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll switch back to.
I forgot. Yeah. I forgot the format, Rob. That is my mistake.
Don't worry, man.
Sorry, everybody. Jumped right out. I'm moving too fast. Go ahead, Rob. Play it, and we'll jump back in.
Okay. All right, there it is. Back to you, Josh.
All right, Rob, you got to just jump in and say, Josh, we haven't listened yet. Calm down. So yeah. I've actually already listened to everything. Rob did too, and I've got my notes here. Just that's what happened. But we should be playing you these tracks before I start talking about them. But yeah, as I said, lots of great automation in this one. Some really cool and unique processing, especially like with the reverb on the kick, I believe it was. Just a bunch of different places there was automation on the reverb. And, you know, overall, I would say, again, it had a nice house groove to it. It came in a little hot, though, for me. When I put it in to Loopcloud, I don't know if you experienced, I'm pretty sure you did because they just load up the way they were. It came in really, really loud. And there was, like, it's almost like an explosion, but it wasn't really an explosion. It just seemed like there was some element in the track that was really, really loud. And, Rob, when you jump in to show or walk through this one inside of Loopcloud, I want you to point out the little track views at the bottom where the tracks are, because you can actually visually see essentially the height of the waveform. And if you've got one that's really, really big and, you know, that comes down, and you've got a bunch of them that are really, really big on those first two bars and then come down, which I believe this project has, you can just visually see if for some reason you can't, you're using bad speakers or something, but you can visually see if there might be an issue where you can concentrate when you go in and start doing your mixing. Obviously, when you're just working and getting your creativity out, it's good to get in and just do it. But then when it's time to refine and mix and move things to the left or the right or bring volumes down, add filters and so on, you can do it, kind of see it visually on where you should probably jump in first, just by looking at those track waveforms at the bottom.
Yeah, it's quite a handy visual reference to which track is which as well, just from looking down there, and to see how much effects automation you've got going on as well, because it really shows you the waveform, as Josh says. Yeah.
I think also he had a lot of the submissions had some vocal, some creative vocal stabs processed and edited into sort of loops. This one was starting there. I would have liked to, it kind of stopped 4 bars in and just was silent for 4 bars, and then it came in. I would have liked sort of a more, especially with like a house beat, a more kind of repetitive groove to that vocal loop, rather than just something really aggressive and crazy in the beginning and then just kind of randomly scattered on the end there. It was not randomly scattered, but a little bit sparse, I would say. But other than that, again, hats off, another great submission. If we're talking about it, we liked it. There's definitely, you know, a future for this track if you get in and just keep moving and keep working, bring that into your DAW and keep moving forward. And obviously, once you have the restrictions off of just using the crazy Ibiza pack, and then you jump into the 4 million plus sounds on Loopcloud, you know, the sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, nice one. So let's just jump into Loopcloud, just to show you what Josh was talking about there, and make a few more comments myself as well. So yes, I felt like there were some nice ideas in there, but they were a little bit sort of clumsily put together, certainly when it comes to the balance. Yeah, and it did come in hot. You probably noticed me riding the fader there. It was running into the red. So here's the... a little slow on the solo buttons there, sorry about that, but yeah, the things that I found that were too quiet, for instance, was the bass. That's on track 2 here. Some nice work's being done with it, but it's just very quiet in the mix. Compared to the other sounds, the vocal you can hear is really, really loud. But overall, the editing's good. There's some nice effects going on as well, and there's some nice automation on those effects too. The one other thing that's you need to watch out for, which is a bit of a problem, is when your loop lengths are slightly out. So with this one, the bass here on track 2 is actually just over 16 bars. So it means that when it rolls around to the start, the bass will be out of sync with everything else. So it's different every time, which is good if you want to create some sort of an interesting art piece where the parts sort of move around out of sync with each other, you know, or you have some cross rhythms going on or something like that. But in this case, it just shifts the bass slightly out when it rolls back around. So just watch out for your loop lengths there as well. But yeah, overall, it's a really nice try. So my scores for that one, I gave it quality or overall, just bring Josh back in. Overall quality, 5 out of 10, and originality or creativity, 7 out of 10, which is 12 in total. What about you, Josh?
I pretty much right on the money for me as well. It really took me out of the groove when it came in so hot. I think I had to, pull the headphone real quick. And I just want to point this out right now because this is another running theme throughout all of these submissions, is when you add a filter inside of Loopcloud, it automatically adds a good deal of volume to your actual track. Even though you're cutting off frequencies, it can add a big boost. And a bunch of tracks actually use that. So just keep that in mind when you throw the filter on there if you're not using a particular preset. Just you might want to check the drive, you might want to check the resonance, and just make sure it's where it should be for whatever you're trying to do with it. But yeah, another great solid submission. And let's move on to the next one from Mun, or Mun.
It's hard to know how many. It's hard to know how many Muns, isn't it? It's definitely one or two.
It looks like two. It could be one. It could be two. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But if you want to go ahead and play it, we'll jump into what we thought about it.
All right, switching over to Loopcloud then. Let's play this one. Nice and funky, that one. What do you think, Josh?
Nailed it on the head. Nice and funky. Another one that used 2 tracks, though, for effects. I think, yeah, Vox Amp. Well, I guess it's a Vox stab. But a really solid, deep, funky groove. Yep. It's kind of starting to get outside of just straight house, I think.
In fairness, by the way, I should probably, sorry to cut you off there, I should probably say, I'm pretty sure I used at least 2 for effects in my demo. I was giving, in the last live stream, so maybe a bit unfair to.
Hey, again, this is just me saying it might have been a missed opportunity. It's not 100% definitely you missed that opportunity. If the track is good, and you've got 3, if you've got 4, as long as the track is good, that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
I was just saying I'd like to see a little bit more. I instantly heard the potential with this track. That's what I do when I listen to sort of the 16-bar thing. I'm like, can this go somewhere? And I instantly was like, yeah, this could easily get flushed out into a nice, funky, deep track, which is, it's starting to move away from just the straight housey genre. I saw a bunch of pitch automation on the bass line. The chopped up synth section was glitched out with the grain stretcher effect, which I'm a sucker for. I really like to hear it in the track. Mm-hmm. I've started producing glitch hop when I began producing music and releasing it, so I'm a big sucker for that grain stretcher effect, and I'm really pumped that it's in there, and I love to see how the community uses it. So yeah, really, really good. I guess in terms of where it could be improved, I think some of the mixing could be a little bit better, some of the balancing of things. For example, I said inside of the project it's like -6 dB, and if you just take that and move it down to -10 dB, drop it down 4 decibels, it instantly sounds a lot better. You haven't done anything different in terms of creativity, but if you just take that synth and move it back a little bit, it starts to feel a lot more cohesive in terms of a track. And that's something that is just a quick mixing note. This was something I used to do a lot, is if I had one sound, Rob, that I just loved, I would be like, yes, and I just want to turn it up and be like, don't you all hear it too? But that's not the way to do it. There's, especially in a deep funky house, it's just that little sound pan to the left, back. You just hear it all the time. It doesn't escape you. It's just there, but it's not in your face. That makes the track. So you don't always have to push it way up high to make it be a feature. So just when you jump in, if you want to just try that and show people what I'm talking about, just by bringing that down to about -10, I think that's a good place to start in terms of balancing. And really one of the main the main areas I kind of faulted the track on, not faulted the track, but of ways I thought the track could be improved.
Which part do you want me to bring down to -10, or just show how you?
The main synth.
Main synth. Okay.
The main synth part.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to show the tuning of that one as well. So yeah.
Oh, great. I think Panning is another one, which I think we're going to get into in a little bit, but panning on this one could do big favors for it. You don't want to, you probably hear you got to mix in mono, which is true, but that doesn't mean put all your instruments dead center in your track. You'll find that if you push something over to the left or the right just a little bit, you can actually bring down that volume and it still sounds as loud as it did before because it's not competing with literally everything else in your track for that space. So if you create the space with your track using panning, you can actually bring down a lot of volume, and that way you can keep the dynamics of your track and it will still be loud, it will still sound great. But you just doing little tricks like that, I think, is something people should be doing. And you can do it inside of Loopcloud. You have to use the panner effect, but it's still there. You drop it on, and then you can just pan it over to the left or the right completely, or somewhere in between, centered and not. So it is available inside of there, and I'd like to see more people using that panner effect, and not just automated left-right panner, just like actually taking your bongo and moving it over. And just real quick before you jump in, think of the space like a stage. If you go watch a band, your guitar player is off to the left, and your violins are up in the right, farther away, and then your flutes are closer and a little bit more centered. And think of your instruments that you're making or producing with inside of your DAW or inside of Loopcloud like that. Like everything needs its own space, and just kind of tackle it that way. And I think you'll begin to get better mixes that still showcase all of the different sounds that you want to showcase in your tracks.
Cool, nice one. Well, let's jump back to Loopcloud then, and here's the track again. So I think the main synth part is this one here on track 6. Just solo it. Actually, no, I think it's probably the other pad, which is maybe this one again. Yeah, again, if you look at the levels, this is what Josh is talking about. If you look at the levels, if I wasn't in the way, hang on. Whoop. You can see just behind me there on that track, the waveform is really large there. So I think Josh is talking about just pulling that one down. Sorry, I'm having trouble stopping it there. Yeah, so that's all good. Let's bring me back now. So yeah, the track 6, this is the one that I had a slight problem with, and it's just the tuning. It's going down by -3. I know we did kind of say at the start we weren't going to delve into the theory necessarily, but worth saying, the bass line on track... I didn't write down the track, but the bass line, wherever that is. Oh, here it is, track 1. It's ultimately stepping down by kind of 4 semitones there at the end, whereas this synth sound is only going down by the 3, I think. So it just sounds a little bit off to me if you listen to it. Whereas if you just brought that down to the 4, then it would kind of bring it a little bit more in alignment, because that's ultimately what that whole sequence is heading towards. Otherwise it just sounds a little bit edgy. But this is art, and if you want to have it sounding edgy or it sounds good to your ears, then maybe that's totally fine. But sometimes it's a good idea to listen to exactly what the bass is doing, shift it up or down, maybe around there, because one semitone out from the bass can sound a little jarring to most people. So yeah, that was the main thing that really jumped out from me. Otherwise, I think it's a really nice groove. I thought the balance was overall quite good, and in fact, I didn't even really notice that other synth sound until Josh pointed it out. So yeah, no, I think it's a great track. Let's bring Josh back in, and we can do our scores. What were you scoring for that one, Josh?
I have an 8 for composition and an 8 for creativity. Again, really, really solid entry. With just a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of work, a little bit of love, and obviously the rest of Loopcloud and your full DAW, I think it's definitely going to be a great track if you keep at it and flush it out.
Yeah, so looks like I was being a bit harsh on this one. I give it 7 and 7, but I think I'd actually like to up that to 8, 8 and 7. Yeah, 8 for quality, because it's got really nice quality to it, and 7 for the creativity or the originality. Yeah.
Nice. Great job, Mun.
Yeah, nice one. Mun.
Oh, by the way, we will put the list of the tracks or the people who entered the tracks, the names for these, in the bottom or in the description after the live stream, just in case you missed it. And before we move on to the 4th entry, we're going to go ahead and give away another 500 Loopcloud points to whoever's active in the chat. We're going to pick one name. Go ahead and just throw it in the chat right now. And my friend Andre is going to send me that name at the end of the stream, and we're going to award you 500 Loopcloud points. So go ahead and hit that like button and keep it coming inside of the chat. By the way, on top of that, we will be fielding any questions that you have about Loopcloud. If you just put them in the chat, again, my friend Andre will send me those questions towards the end of the stream, and we will answer those to the best of our abilities if you ask them. All right?
Awesome. I'm just going to load up the session again. By the way, when I've been loading these session files, it did sound a little clicky. So I'm getting a little bit worried that it's going to maybe cause a little dropout or some problem. I've never loaded up these kind of session files of this size whilst obviously doing all the things that I'm doing, broadcasting, streaming, and everything. So
yeah.
So if it goes a little glitchy when I do this, that's why. Loading it up.
And also my power just flickered, so we're doing really well. I think if we're still online and things aren't crazy on the stream, then we're doing okay. We're gonna make it.
Totally. Well, it's everything crashing that I'm scared of. That's just disappearing out of sight. But so far so good. So I think that's loaded up now, and this is number 4, and it's August Enzelberger, otherwise known as...
Great name.
Yeah.
Solid name.
Augustens.
So if you want to go ahead and play it, we'll jump in and talk about it.
Nice. Here we go. Any minute now. Hello. Spoke to you soon, didn't I? No, sir. It doesn't like it. Wait a minute.
I think you gotta let it load for a second.
No, I did that. It has loaded. Let me just try loading again. See, I mean, you can see obviously how many little chops we got here, and this one's a ultra edited one. So let me just load it again. Yeah, I must say this is the most I've ever worked with Loopcloud without using the DAW. And it's interesting to see it like this. When you load up these session files, you get the... You know what? I'm going to quit it. A little scarily, but it's being weird. It's just playing the Mun one through again. So booting up Loopcloud once again. Yeah, these session files are pretty huge, and we are in a sense with this whole competition we are kind of pushing Loopcloud to the limits. I'm still quite determined to make an entire track in Loopcloud. That's my goal for the year, is to make and release a track purely in Loopcloud without doing anything else. To see if I can, really.
You mean like 320 bar Loopcloud project?
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you like in the last one, I did show how to do it with. What are we up to? August. When you use it with the DAW, you can lock it to the timeline. It's automatically locked to the timeline, so you can just loop certain sections of that when you're working on them. So loop bars, 24 to 32, and just work, on that in Loopcloud. So yeah, it's entirely doable, especially for a sort of slightly shorter EDM style, or trap track of 3 or 4 minutes or something. It should be doable. And the sounds in Loopcloud are awesome, so I'm pretty confident. Anyway, let's see if this has loaded up okay now. It's not liking my space bar. Sorry, is my keyboard's not died? Sorry about this, everyone. It's not happened before. It's not letting me play. Okay, let me click on a few of these tracks. Make sure they're loading in okay. Yeah, normally when you load up a big session like this, you see the waveforms appear in there. So if you're not seeing the waveforms, kind of suggests something funny is going on. What's the protocol on this, Josh? If we can't get it to play, we just give our feedback without playing them. That's not good. Okay, I'm gonna have to try one more load here. August.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I on screen or am I just my voice?
You're not. Yeah, let's bring you back. You can talk for a bit while I work on Loopcloud.
I've never seen what's happening with you right now. I've never seen happen.
No.
Did you download the full pack before you
No.
started streaming?
No, but I did.
So you're trying to download and run the stream at the same time? That might not be the best.
Yeah, it's true. No, I bought all the files. I didn't download all the files. So that's a good point actually. So when it's loading the session, I don't know. There's something else going on here. It might simply be that I'm broadcasting every time you do things with OBS and run other apps at the same time and like push them to the limits like we're doing, and both are working online and with my bandwidth. Maybe it's causing some kind of conflict there. I'm not sure. I'll do one more restart where you can tell people about something exciting. Come on, tell them about something exciting. We could do another giveaway. It's probably about time, actually.
I think, why not? I think it's time. I think we should do another giveaway. So while Rob is reloading Loopcloud, so hopefully be able to hear this next track, go ahead and leave a comment in the chat, and my friend Andre will pick your name or pick a random name and send it to me at the end of the stream, and you'll get 500 Loopcloud points. And by the way, if you're tuned in now and you don't have Loopcloud yet, go ahead. There's a free version. You can try a subscription for free, and it's something that should definitely be a part of your life if you're into making music of any type. It gives you access to over 4 million sounds now, loops, samples from 20 years of sampling and sound engineering, and literally, as I said on other streams, any sound that you want is in there somewhere. Whether it's crickets at night during the summer from the northwestern part of the United States, that file is inside of Loopcloud. Trust me. So how's it going, Rob? Are you close?
So it's saying indexing. It's coming up with a few things. It's not showing me the waveforms at the bottom still. It's making me think, why didn't I export each one of these as a you just click the, if you drag out the process button, you could just drag out the whole arrangement as a loop. If we had them as a backup on my desktop, we could just play them rather than having to actually refer to them in Loopcloud. That would have been a good idea, wouldn't it? Just in a worst case scenario.
We're learning.
Yeah, we are.
We're learning though, and this is only stream 2. We've had some very fortunate streams in the bag already. It's inevitable that we're going to run into some hiccups, but I see August Enzelberger, which again, love the name. He is in the chat waiting for everybody to hear this.
Sorry. No, the weird thing is, I don't know if it's something to do with some caching, maybe, and I don't know. But I'm now just trying to skip on to the next one to see if, sorry, August, to see if it makes a difference, but doesn't seem to be making a difference.
This is too bad too, because I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag here. This is actually the winner track from the contest.
Yeah.
August, congratulations.
Yeah.
You have won, and this isn't me joking. I'm trying to have fun. But you won, my man. We were blown away with what you did. You took a house pack and made something completely unexpected. You made so many micro edits. Granted, a lot of it was copy pasted, but then you threw processing and automation on top of those and just made a phenomenal track. I think Rob and I both gave you a 9/9, so an 18 out of 20, which is the highest we've ever given anybody. Granted, this is the first contest we ran like this, but I mean, it blew both of us away. And there's really not much else to say about it besides trying to play it. I'm going to be honest with you, Rob. I can't load it either.
Oh, you think this might be a server?
Yeah.
Thing. Huh.
Can you imagine?
That's weird.
Did any of the other ones load?
No. Well, they're loading in the player, but they're not loading in the waveform at the bottom, showing you the sort of full processed sequence. In fact, I haven't. Let me just do a search for normal samples. Just make sure this isn't a major thing. They're all showing in the search. Okay.
I'm going to talk to Andre.
Other sounds.
So if you want to
other sounds are loaded. Do you know what? As other stuff's loading, let's move on to the label feature right now. It's actually already 22, so we're taking our time getting through those those tracks. But let's move on to the label feature then. And at the end, after that, we'll come back to the entries, and fingers crossed, whatever's going on will just be magically resolved. The fairies will have sparkled their magic dust over us, and everything will be fine. So yeah, let's jump into Loopcloud, and I'll show off AIM audio. So I'll see you in a bit, Josh.
All right.
So yeah, here's Loopcloud then. I'm going to click on this one and clear all tracks and go back to the home screen. So we're just right back at the start then. And you can see right at the top here, we have one of the packs. There it is. So AIM stands for Art in Music. If I click on the information there, you get information about the whole pack. Just loading up. Yeah, all other samples seem to be coming through all right. I have absolutely no idea why the other ones weren't. But so yeah, let's just check out some of the sounds in here and just build up a bit of a groove. Now, I always thought dub was just generally slow, but this kind of, when I listen to the demo from this one, as you can hear, it's yeah, it's kind of 140, and a lot of the loops are that fast, so it's sort of double the speed I'd be expecting. So let's just go ahead and work with some of them to create a kind of groove. So I'm going to start off with some of the top loops. This is kind of like we were seeing in the last live stream when we were making a remix with the pack. You know, once you've got the pack open here, you can just choose the tags here to sort of see what's inside it. So yeah, just clicking on top will then just limit it to just the top loops, and we can limit it to loops or one shots if we want as well. So let's choose one of these. So yeah, let's just go with that one. Quite nice. We might want to have our own kick. So let's demonstrate. Let's open it up and just find the kicks which are there. I can sequence my own pattern by dragging this around, by holding command, duplicating to create other slices, and then just, you know, dragging them around to the grid here. This is just a 1-bar loop at the moment. I'm just going to reset it though. If I click on the pattern section there, I can actually just choose one of the presets. So we can go with the dub stepper kicks. They're actually pretty much similar to a house kick there, with them being on the beat. Just going to bring down that top loop a bit. About right balance wise. Now let's just check the level. I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting though. I want to drag this one back a little bit. So I'm going to go with the grid to 16ths, so I can see what I'm doing here, and then just pull one back. Nice. I am hearing though, if we just zoom in on this top sloop, you can zoom in and you can actually see, actually this one's a little bit later there. So what I could do is set the grid to the smallest amount. You see it's 1/64, and we might want to kind of shift the kick kind of halfway or a little bit further along with that kind of grid size if we want to sort of lock it in time there. So I'm going to hold shift and just drag it back a bit just to hear the difference there. You can hear there's a little bit of a sort of clunk, whereas if I have it there, now you can hear they actually lock in time, so that's much nicer, I think. So I'm just going to click and drag over that so I get the full bar selected. I'm going to duplicate that out as long as I want. I was going to make a little arrangement here in the same way that we've been doing. I'm a little scared to do such a long arrangement now. The computer's being a bit funny. Set it back to auto, and now just have it, yeah, a full 16 bar loop. All right, let's check out what basses we got in here. We got some really nice bass loops, classic kind of dub stuff. That's really nice. Just go with that one. Awesome. Again, I'm just going to duplicate that out as many times as I need. Drag that out. Next up, let's go for another sort of percussion sound. We could get a shaker in there. Let's see what shaker loops there are. That's quite nice, but we've already kind of got that rhythm there. So if I hit ×2, that's weird. That's right. Cool. So copy that out again. So again, for anyone who's sort of new to Loopcloud or didn't see last week's live stream, this isn't necessarily the normal way to use it. Creating these huge long sequences. I'm just sort of showing you just how much you can do with it. So you can not just create simple grooves in there, but you can actually create fairly full, mini arrangements, if you like, with a kind of breakdown and a drop. So we'll bring in a shaker sort of a bit later on. Just for the last part maybe. And now let's find some melodic sounds. What else?
Hey Rob?
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in. It's working now for me. If you want to, maybe throw the melodics on there and then jump in. And just when you load the project file, just don't press play, don't do anything until those WAV files showed up. It's going to take a while because of how many edits are inside of it. And if you hit the play button, it might actually kind of mess with it. So just wait, load it, sit back, and we'll chat until it loads up. But I think it should be working now if you want to jump back into it. We're only on entry 4, and it's already 45 minutes in. Yeah, right. So what, shall I carry on with this, or do you guys want me to call it a day there? Or there's some really nice vocals and horns and all sorts, but obviously that might mean we go on till 10 o'clock. I think we encourage people to check this out. I'm a big dub fan. Definitely go check out that pack and just the new label in general. And we'll leave it with them to explore those sounds. But we got to get through these 10, and hopefully we can get this next one loaded. August is waiting, and everybody is waiting as well to hear this pack.
Yeah, no doubt. Track. Well, here we go. Just one thing then first. I actually, in Blue Peter, here's one I made earlier, Style. This is the one, it's the exact same groove that I'm making, which I just put together before doing the live stream, just to kind of try out the loops myself, so you can actually hear the melodic ones in this. So I'll just play this one. anyway, you get the idea. You hear some nice horns in there. There's some nice vocals as well, which we're about to get to. But okay, let's just load up then. Let's give it a go. Load.
Yeah. Yeah. You
August.
just wait. It's so many edits, so many
Sitting
micro
back.
edits.
Sitting
Yep.
back.
Sit back, relax. You can bring up my pretty face if you want.
Yeah,
and
please.
That way I can.
I need you, Josh. I need you. Oh, that's not you. There you are.
Look at it. Look at it. It loaded up instantly for you.
Well, I can see it now. I can see the waveforms. Most of them, anyway. I can tracks 6 and 7 looking mysteriously flat and non-existent. But the rest are all there. Let me just click on them, see if I can get them to appear that way. Ugh. Okay.
Talk to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's quite a lot to ask of a computer, isn't it? We're always pushing computers to the absolute limits. Just, you know, running all these multiple apps, streaming. So that's all I can say. Okay. Well, it appears to have loaded. So I'm just gonna
give it a play.
I'm hitting play and not hearing anything.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. What do we do? What do we do? Is it loading up on yours? Can you?
Yeah.
Can you drag out the processed version of the rest of them, and we can play them? That's the only way I can think of to do this. Literally just drag out process, and it will drag out everything when it bounced together. Whoa! Okay, mine's playing. It's playing. Yay!
Yeah, you just gotta wait, man. I think because the streaming.
Yeah.
And all the micro, I think you just gotta wait until
it's
completely there.
It's all there now.
Faith. You gotta have faith in the Loopcloud application, and it will deliver if you give it enough time. And as Rob said, everybody, we're using it not as intended. It's really meant to get your 8-bar loop, drag it into your DAW, and come back and do it, and come back and do it. Instead of doing 16 bars with as many micro edits, and Rob's going to show you in a second how detailed this project is. August really pushed it to its limit.
You broke my computer. You broke it, August.
But in the best way, So Rob, if you want to go ahead and play, I'm not sure if you already did, but go ahead and let it run a couple of times just so people can bask in its glory. The winner of the first competition we had on these Loopcloud workshops. Go ahead and play it, Rob.
There it is. There it is. Ah, finally. Worth the wait. Worth the wait.
Worth the wait. So, I mean, we're just going to jump into, why I think, you and I judged these or came up with our lists independently. We went through all of the submissions independently, and both came back and this is the clear winner. And it's the clear winner for so many different reasons. One of the ways we said we're going to be judging this was creativity, and this is psytrance. I believe it's psytrance. I'm not a psytrance person, so I can't. There might be an offshoot, or this is a specific type. I'm not sure, but I would call this psytrance, and it nails it on the head. Like as soon as I heard it, I'm like, that's psytrance, and it sounds phenomenal, and it's made from a house pack, and it just sounds so good. It's mixed really well. And as I said, there's so many micro edits, and a lot of those micro edits are micro edits that were then duplicated like you did. And this is part of the reason why it took a little bit to load. But those micro edits were then processed with really clever effects automation and sound processing to make it just those typical psytrance kind of, I can't even explain it. But I am elated to hear this track, and it makes me excited to jump into Loopcloud because I know that I can take a house pack and make psytrance with it just inside of Loopcloud. Just again, dude, hats off. Really, really solid. really, really solid entry for this particular competition, and I hope that you continue to participate in these because we want to hear what you can do with the next pack that we issue for these contests. Rob, if you want to give your 2 cents on it as well.
Yeah, I agree with everything Joshua just said. Let's just jump into Loopcloud. The magic for me is in track 5. This one here, as you can see just how fine the edits are. This is an FX loop that's been sequenced. And it's actually running the whole way through, so it's going the whole way through. But the effects here, this really long effects chain has been used to kind of create these little bits where it just sort of pops in and out of the production. That's why it's so cool. That's what you want with dance music. You don't want things running constantly. That's a mistake a lot of people make when they start out. They just keep loops running the whole time. And obviously one way of bringing them in and out is to kind of edit them physically so they just come in certain places. Another way is to have a filter or some effect that just brings them in and out. And that's exactly what's happening here. And it sounds really cool. And also you've got some other effects like the grain stretch, panning. The grain stretch is used to create the kind of glitchy bits at the end of the 8 and 16 bars.
Just look at the detail. It's beautiful just to see the automation detail, what went into it, and it's actually pretty subtle in terms of the whole thing, but it just adds that extra level of character that you want. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Again, just phenomenal. I'm sorry, I'll let you keep going, Ryan. I just had to keep gushing there. I'm sorry.
Well, that's more or less it, really. Yeah, it's all about the fine detail, as Josh says, kind of customizing it to make it your own. This mostly came from house one-shots and house loops. So you're just taking the bits that you want from those loops and you're turning them into your own style. In this case, I think it's probably deep goer hardcore, Josh. I don't think it's... Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just traditional psytrance. Just kidding.
No, again, I don't know. And I've been told many times that my genre naming is completely off. I don't know. I really don't care about genres. I knew it's somewhere around psytrance, and it nailed it on the head for me. So big ups to you, August, again. August, you want to email support@Loopmasters. If you want to put that in the chat so you can see, you want to go ahead and email them. Just say, I'm August. I won the Loopcloud Livestream contest, the first one. And what you're going to be winning, my friend, 1,000 Loopcloud points.
Whoa.
Bam. You're going to get a Loopcloud t-shirt. We're talking about merch out here, okay? We're going to get plugins, lots of plugins. You're going to get chords from Loopmaster. You're going to get Bassmaster from Loopmasters. You're going to get Big Kick, Scalar 2, and Carbon Electro from Plugin Boutique. So you're getting a boatload of plugins. You're getting that t-shirt, which is quality. I'm not wearing mine. Rob's not wearing his. We dropped the ball on that, but it's a great t-shirt. And you're getting all those points to go ahead and keep making. If it's psytrance, if that's what you're into, go ahead and make it, because you now have a bunch of new toys to play with and get in and do what you need to do. So just a great job. Just everybody give it up. No one can hear you clapping except for you and whoever else is watching with you, but just a great track. We're really pumped that you submitted it, and my chair is broken. But let's keep moving here. I gave it a 9 out of 9. Just a home run. 9 out of 9 is what I gave it. What about you, Rob?
9 out of 9. You're marking out of 9 or 10?
Oh, no, 9 and 9.
9 and 9, exactly.
Right. So you're right.
I was the same. 9 out of 10 and 9 out of 10. 18 in total. Very good score. Yeah. I mean, it's not... Can you give anything a 10? I don't know. Maybe you could one day, but 9's...
Well, I mean, who knows? Next contest, maybe August's going to get it. He's got... He wants to keep getting these plugins. He wants to keep getting these Loopcloud points. You never know.
Yeah.
The 10 out of 10 might be he might be on his back burner. He's ready.
Yeah. So what do we want to do? Do we want to continue to go through all 10, or are we going to just pick some select ones? Or obviously we're only on number 4 of 10.
Yeah. No. Let's. I think go ahead and pull up Z's. I think Z's was a pretty good one that we can talk about.
Okay.
We can. Yeah. Just so everybody else knows, by the way. Felix Smittick, you were selected to be talked about today, but we were really running long. So great track. Keep up the good work. And also Greg Dollar, you were also selected, but we're gonna just keep moving here. Again, great track. Keep up the good work, and definitely keep running these contests. And you guys, with what you've already done, I'm excited to hear what you're going to do on the next one. So just keep trying, keep sending in your Loopcloud sessions, and hopefully we'll get you on the stream soon. Oh, another thing, August is going to be streamed on Loopmaster's social. So whenever you reach out, August, by the way, I'm sorry to take up the time, just tell them your social handles, I guess, on Twitter and Instagram, and when they play your track, they're going to tag you so you can get that little bit of extra exposure on those platforms as well. Sorry. Let's keep going.
Actually, wait, should we do another giveaway? Let's do another giveaway.
I was about to say, I've got it big here. It says, hello, giveaway 500 Loopcloud points. So if you're sticking with us, to the end, go ahead, get active in the chat right now. My friend Andre is going to write down one name at random to give 500 Loopcloud points to you, absolutely free, just for being around and being part of the community. And then in this next track, while they're being active, if you want to go ahead and load up Z's, Z, right?
Yeah.
I only put Z here. I didn't put the full names of these things, but
Z is Z Kampfersbeker. I'm pronouncing it what I imagine was a German surname, or at least some kind of Northern European surname. Kampfersbeker is how I would pronounce it.
I can't even try. I'm not try.
Probably completely wrong.
I don't want to say something insulting to someone.
Well, no worries. It's here. I can see it. I can see all the waveforms. Everything looks happy. So as long as the play button's working, I mean that probably means because there just aren't quite as many fine edits as the last one. Let's hit play, see what happens. Yeah, so Josh.
Yeah. So on this one, Z, if you're in the chat, represent yourself, because it was a really solid groove. It's another one that as soon as I hit play, I was feeling it. I got my head nodding immediately. And as I've said 100 times in this, and probably will say a million more times in my lifetime, that's what it's all about. It was mixed really well as well, which really helps with that, because as soon as you hear it, it's kind of like those first impression sort of things. You want it to be mixed well, and if it is mixed well and you've got the grooves, you've got a winning submission, you know what I mean? So I really want to hear what he can do or she can do. I'm not sure if it's a he or a she, but they can do with this track. I think it has the, it's definitely a possible track that you want to go ahead and finish out. I would try to make it a full track, because again, instant head nods is always a win in my book. There was also a bunch of shaker edits, which I like to see, some really great effects processing on some stuff, and of course, Z used the grain stretch effect, and as I've already stated, I am a sucker for it, so I love to hear it, and I love to see what people can do with it. As far as the rest, I think there was some mixing that I would do a little bit differently, like the crash effects loop needs to come down a few dB. And I think he also had the crash every 4 bars or something, and I thought that was overwhelming. It didn't need to be. It was almost like he was using it as like a sidechain white noise that you can hear on a lot of house music, but I don't think it needed to be there. So maybe when you jump in and walk through it, Robbie, if you just delete and just leave the first crash one, you might be able to hear, like, it really opens up the mix. The mix sounds a lot brighter. It's not overwhelmed with that crashing effect sound. It's great to have that as an impact to begin something, but just to keep it going, I think it was a little bit unnecessary. But again, it's art, so if that's what you want, that's perfectly cool. And I think I've got a bunch more notes here, but I think that's the crux of it. I also put here that there's some baseline filtering automation, which was really good, but you need to be careful about that resonance, which I've already talked about in the beginning of the stream. The resonance is there, and it really boosted it.
It's really high.
And on the baseline, especially on the baseline, is that you don't really want a bunch of overall gain fluctuations, because if you're in a club and that stuff is it's where it should be, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, without you touching as the DJ any control, the bass just gets louder. That's usually not a good look, and it could throw things off. It could throw off the groove. So just keep in mind, especially on things like your kick drum and your bass, you should kind of like have a ceiling, and you should try not to go above it too much. Obviously, sometimes you want to bring down the volume and then bring it back up, but just kind of keep an eye on where it is and try not to peak up above it for no like real good reason. And I thought that's just something to maybe touch on when you run them through the project, Rob.
Okay, nice. Let's switch over to it. So first up then, Josh was talking about this crash here. So if I play it, so I'll mute that one. So yeah, it is happening quite a lot, and it is quite noisy. I see what Josh is talking about there. The main thing for me actually on this one was the tuning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Track 5. It feels like it's a semitone out. So if I actually take it up to 2. Oh wait, so it was here. If we take it up by 1. Just thinking about it. Where the hell is it sounding right? So where's our bass line? Bass line is on it's supposedly in C. So if we come back to this one and try auto tuning to C, see how that goes. Needs to come down here. Here we go. So there's a few parts there. The vocal, I was playing around with it earlier and I managed to slot it in place quite easily. But it's sounding a bit strange now. Let's take it out for a second and just try the chords. So they're sounding a bit better auto-tuned to C, but no, I'm not going to mess around with it anymore. Earlier on, I slotted them all in quite easily just by shifting them around, and it all kind of slotted into place a little bit better. I'm not going to focus on that now. But those were the problems I had. It could easily be a little bug with the session file when you load it up. Sometimes the tuning needs a bit of reconfiguring, and if it doesn't sound right, you can normally take it up by 1 and then take it back down, and it sort of realigns correctly. So it might be a case of that, and you actually tuned everything perfectly, and it was just a loading up issue. So let's just move on. Great effects chain on the percussion in track 4. This is quite nice, bit of editing. Nice bit of panning, again using the grain stretch in certain places to create little fills, and a bit of a delay on that as well, adding a bit of extra width. Good effort. Let's come back to Josh and get his scores.
Z is in the chat, Rob.
Oh, nice.
I'd like you to know that you are on point with your pronunciation.
Ah, lovely.
And Z is the in German. So
that's right. Just written a different way.
I'm just calling this producer the. So I apologize for that. But really great job on the track. As I said, I have you at composition at a 7 and creativity at a 6. I think you did a really good job with it.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. I give it quality 7, originality 6, so total of 13. So another good score. Sweet. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do Vitor, and it could be Victor.
It could be
Dengucho. Let me fix my light. My lovely wife came home. I had to let her in the door. The door is My light is in front of the door. But yeah, let's check out Vitor Dengucho.
Okay, we're going to load up this one. So this one's got we got a kind of little surprise for you, haven't we? Because you actually got a bit stuck in with this one, didn't you? But we'll play the first one.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just play through the first version of the original version, and then we'll talk about what happened next.
Okay, so let's go back to Loopcloud and play that one through. So there it is. Nice one, CDHB.
All right, CDHB. I should have wrote down the full names here on my notes, but CDHB. So if we just go ahead and jump into it, Ra, I thought it was a really solid house groove, and I love how it started off kind of like in the tail end of a breakdown, just before a really noticeable breakdown into a sort of drop. I'm not sure if you call a house drop a drop. I know drop is like dubstep terminology. Again, I'm terrible with these things, but the main part of the track, it built up or it broke down, and then it just built up and then went right into it. I thought that was really, really great, and it had some really nice vocal chops, and that followed that line of kind of a breakdown into an explosion, and I got kind of wrapped up into it. So I was inside of the project, and I was like, I think this is a good opportunity to kind of start to show people, and hopefully you can do this, how little mixing changes can really transform the track. I didn't make the track different. I just made it, or tried to make it sound better, or just technically. Again, I didn't try to make it artistically different. I tried to make it a better mix. And the way I went about that was volume adjustments. I did remove some of the effects. I think people get a little bit heavy with effects. You don't need explosions and every 3 bars, 4 bars. Like, you don't need that stuff as long as your groove is good. And I thought this track had a really great groove. So what I did was went in and I made the breakdown more transparent or more obvious and flow a little bit better with filter automation, a little bit of reverb automation. And it really kind of is a lot less blocky. Before it was just kick here, no kick here, but now it's like kick here that slowly fades out sort of stuff, which you can do inside of Loopcloud, and I wanted to kind of showcase that here. And I also did what we talked about earlier in the stream, if you remember, about panning. So I took those strings and I brought those way down, because is more of accompaniment to the piano, and it needed to be back and not in your face. And I brought that down and I put it over to the left, I believe it was, and then I found I could even bring it down even more. So it's still there, you can still hear it, it's still a feature, but it's not in your face. And I did the same thing with the synth stabs. Again, I brought the volume way down and I panned it over to the right. So now we have more stereo information going on. These things are living in their own area, and it just makes the mix sound better, and you can really concentrate on the bass line in those keys. So I did that, and I think you can play my version. And I think you said you wanted to talk about tuning again. If maybe you thought there was some tuning opportunity, a way to tune some of the samples differently to make it sound even better. So we kind of took this as a use case of how you might take a project and make it just that much better by, panning things, mixing things differently, and do the correct tuning on different instruments.
Yeah. So let's jump back over to Loopcloud. I've loaded up Josh's one. I must say, actually, this is the second time I've played music by CDHB this week. Actually, he made it to the top 10 for the Producer Tech remix comp, our member remix comp, because he's a Producer Tech member. And I did a live stream where I gave feedback on their entries, and that was a really great entry. It made it into the top 3. In actual fact. So if you want to hear that track, go to the Producer Tech SoundCloud page, and you can see the shortlist. You can play through the tracks, and he's in there.
And that's a members only sort of thing you do, right? It's kind of like You do that monthly or something? Is that
weekly? We do weekly live streams. One or two with me. I do them every 3 weeks now, and we have artists filling the ones in between. So we had Sepper, Paul Maddox. Next month we got L Train, Shaq, and Rezo, drum and bass producer. So we got loads of awesome artists. Yeah,
nice.
So yeah, here's Josh's one. Let's have a listen to that. Yeah, it works that bit better now with Josh's little tweaks. There's nothing that major there, but the mix is just tightened. That drop, we're going to call it a drop. That drop is just more satisfying, beefier when it comes in. It's more obviously a breakdown here, and it flows well, whether it's from the start or whether it's rolling round in a loop, as you can hear. And this sort of mini breakdown here is just that bit honed. Really nice kind of sweep going in, and I think you filtered the parts there a little bit as well, Josh, I think. So you can hear if I just play that breakdown. Really, really satisfying drop there, so that's really nice. Yeah, the tuning that I had was the tuning of the main one in track 2. By the way, the synth sound, the little string stabs are really nice, aren't they? Really nice kind of classic house sort of touch there. So this main string part goes down there by 2 semitones if I switch to pitch mode here. But sort of rather in a kind of slightly clumsy fashion, I feel, goes sort of back up in the middle, which would sound a bit better, I think, if it just stays down there. It sounds a bit weird, sort of jumping up. And I don't know if you were going up there just to sort of stay in with the bass line there, but you see, if I just pull them all down to 2, and then I jump over to the bass line and just pull that down as well. Where's the bass? The bass is in track 3 here, and I just slice that. And just pull that one down by 2. Everything just sounds a bit better, I think. You can hear. The string is the only one there that's creating the suspense there. It needs to resolve. If I just mute it, you can hear it goes down eventually, so it goes down at the end of the bar, but everything else now is playing in the right key through that whole bar. And then goes back up again at the start of the next one. So you could sort of bring down this, wherever the strings are. It's going to be one of these, isn't it? I won't do it, but yeah, if you wanted to, to have them all aligned, you might want to bring down the strings as well. And then everything would be kind of nicely aligned harmonically and a bit simpler. And that's often what you're going for with a lot of styles. You want simplicity. Generally, especially in a house style or a classic house style. So anyway, yeah, my points for that one were quality 7 and originality 8, scoring a total of 15, which is a very good score.
Yeah, I had it about the same. Again, like the reason why I want to point it out just one more time, kind of hit in on this. The reason why I jumped in and made those changes was just to show on stream what you could be doing that you might not be doing. If you're a new producer, one thing that you really want to stay away from is what I call choppy, where it's 8 bars of one thing and then you're instantly into 8 bars of another thing. That's the beauty of modern DAWs, is you can get in and add automation to almost anything, whether it's volume, filter, panning, just get in and do it. You don't want to go crazy with anything ever, but if you just get in and take a little bit more time to really think about, what do I want here and how do I want to do it and what can I use in my tool, for my toolbox to get that result. It's a good idea, but overall I'd say this is a fantastic start to a track. Again, it's worth finishing. It's worth fleshing out. Just keep finishing projects, by the way. Another kind of tangent here. Just finish projects, okay? Make lots of great ideas, but just get in. And even if you're like, nah, this isn't going to go anywhere, just finish it. Because finishing is like really difficult for some reason for a lot of people. So if you just get in the habit of finishing and like what you need to do to finish your track, it's going to be good for you in terms of your production career. Use Loopcloud to start and get the inspiration, but just keep finishing tracks. And then it's fun when you go 4 or 5 years later. I don't know if you do this, Rob, but like I listen to the tracks that I made 10 years ago, and they're correct. They're absolutely horrible, but I have fun listening to them. I remember that. I remember when I made them, and I was like, oh yes. But like if I never finished them, I wouldn't have that to go back and listen to and just remember and think about how I've improved and stuff. So anyway, that's the last one we're going to check out, Rob. I think we're at an hour and a half already. I think we've gone way over time. But I just want to point out the other 2 tracks that did make it into our list to talk about, and that was, and I'm definitely not going to say this right, Yea May.
Yep.
I think. Another great track. Went for a more ambient vibe, I believe, on that one. So outside of the house genre, which I appreciated. And then Dara Redmond, which I believe is in the chat. So if you're still in the chat, great track. You were on our list to talk about, but we've had too much to say, I guess. Maybe we might knock it down to 5 tracks next time. But for both of you, great job. You did make it into the top 10, so keep going, and hopefully we'll see you as the winner in some of the future competitions that we have. And I think it's worth, Rob, checking out Ollie's track. Ollie is a developer on the Loopcloud team. He is a drum and bass fanatic, and I asked him, if he wanted to do something, and he put together a really great track. It's 32 bars long, so hopefully your computer doesn't blow up when you load it. But he takes you on a journey, and I think it really showcases what is possible inside of Loopcloud. So Rob, if you want to play that, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Yep, it seems to have loaded up all right.
Nice one.
Yeah, it must have kind of been a server thing before. Let's jump back over to Loopcloud. Check it out. So yeah, it's 32 bars long. You can see that with some of these parts. It started playing already. Where's the bass line? There's a bass line which is in a bit later on. Is it this one? No. Okay, let's just play it, see how it comes out. I had to fiddle around with the tuning of one of the parts. I think it was this one before when I loaded it up. So like I said, that's my little fix sometimes if the tuning comes out funny. I just sort of adjust it down by 1 or up by 1 and then back to where it was, and it normally sorts it. It's just a little minor bug with loading, but Dev are actually aware of that one now, so it should be fixed soon. Let's try and play this through. Nice. Good job, Ollie.
Yeah, solid tune. He is guilty of the filter resonance thing, in my opinion. Again, it's all about art, but I saw that you even noticed you might have to turn it down.
I did. I grabbed the fader.
You can see it again in the waveform that it just goes. It goes gangbusters there towards the end. Yeah. But one thing I did like about that particular section is he put it was so wet at the end of the reverb, and I think maybe a delay, that it just rings out over the rest of that, and you just filtered it out slowly, and it's just a nice touch to take that element and keep it going for the drop. Again, I'm using the word. I'm just going to use it from now on and stop apologizing for it. But this is another thing too, and I try to drop these kind of nuggets of information as often as I can. When you're making impacts or uplifters or downshifters or whatever you want to call them, it's really great to use elements of the track to make those things, because it adds to the cohesiveness. I mean, using an impact, an explosion, it's really cool, but if you take a kick and a snare and some Foley or something, or a synth that's filtered, and put a bunch of reverb on it and make the explosion from the elements of your track, it's just going to make it sound that much more in place and like should be there, rather than like all of a sudden it's World War III outside your house and you have an explosion. Like, it just makes it sound better. It's just I like how he did that there with that build up and then have it just float over the end. It really adds that texture and carries over the first movement of the piece into the second part. And I thought it was really cool. So big ups, my friend Ollie. There, he's in the chat. He's in the chat.
Nice.
Big ups, Ollie. We all loved it here on the Loop Masters and Plugin Boutique team. So great job.
Yeah, there's just to say on those the FX, if you do that as well, and you have a preset pattern that you've made which has that kind of an effect, then if you come into Loopcloud, just load up an empty session. So just as you're starting out, you can select any one shot, select that pattern, and it will give you that, I don't know, 16 bar, 32 bar, whatever effect sweep just out of that one shot. So you can drag that one shot into your live project or whatever and start working with it that way, and then just load up that pattern and you'll instantly have that kind of loop that creates that nice effects progression.
Yeah, that processing is like saved. Yeah, you can, right inside of Loopcloud. So we're wrapping up the stream. Rob, if you could actually jump into Loopcloud and just show people how to save a session file, because we're going to be doing another contest. This isn't kind of the main contest that we're going to be doing once a month. We decided when we do these sort of recaps of the previous contests, we're going to keep contests going just because we want to keep you inside and motivated to making great music. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about that contest, but before we do that, it's going to be the same way. You need to send a Loopcloud session file, and Rob's going to show you right now how to do that inside of Loopcloud. So follow these directions, and this is what you're going to send to the Dropbox link that is in the video description. Rob, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, sure. So it's just in the edit menu here. So yeah, once you've created your arrangement in all the ways, excuse me, in all the ways that we sort of looked at a bit in this live stream. But if you want to refer back to the previous one, maybe, and you'll see two examples of me creating arrangements, one using mostly loops and then one using one shots and kind of doing something a little bit more unique in a different genre. But once you've created your arrangement, you just go to the edit menu, click on the switch there, save session, and then it just select where you want to save it to, like the desktop, type in a name, and then it saves it as a Loopcloud session file to your desktop, and you can then just send that file or drop it into the Dropbox, as Joshua's mentioned, is in the description.
That's right, Rob. When you have your track and you have your Loopcloud session file, just click that link in the video description. This video description, obviously, there's a link there. It'll bring you to a place you can upload to our Dropbox. And as I said, and this is the way it's always going to be, so make sure you learn how to save session files. We're not listening to MP3s, we're not listening to WAV files, and we're not opening any compressed stuff. So don't compress it in a zip file or RAR file. Just upload the session file. It's a very small file. It's essentially a text file, so you don't have to worry about bandwidth or anything like that. Let us worry about that stuff. Just that's what we need for the contest. So let's, first of all, before we jump into this next contest, let's give away 500 more Loopcloud points to whoever hasn't got them yet. If you want to be active in the chat right now, hit the like button, of course, please. It helps us get promoted on YouTube. So it's nothing for you, but it means the world to us. Hit the like button, be active in the chat, and my friend Andre is going to choose one more person to get 500 Loopcloud points to use on whatever they want in the Loopcloud store. And while he's doing that, let's talk about this next remix contest. It's essentially the same thing as the first one, but this time you can use any files from any pack. So you've got 8 tracks to make any genre, any BPM, whatever you want.
Not so much of a remix comp this time, just a track, just a composition.
Yeah,
or
it's an 8-track attack. You might want to call it. It's not a remix. It's really just make us a drop. And I want to say that we want it to be the focal point of the track. Don't send us the breakdown of a track, because then we're going to listen to it and be like, oh, where does it go? I want to hear where it goes or where it ends up. So and again, we're going to be judging on creativity. So don't just take some loops and throw them together and think you're going to get the prize, or think we're going to talk about it. We want you to get in and really utilize the tools inside of Loopcloud. It's got a suite of effects. It's got editing tools. It's got a lot. And as you've heard today, the sky is really the limit. And now that you can use any pack that you want, I mean, no excuses this time. It's a less restrictive entry process, and we're looking forward to hearing all sorts of genres. Obviously, there's a house pack before, so we kind of expected a lot of house entries, but now it's whatever genre you like, send to us. You got 1 week to do it. So next Thursday is at the end of the day, Eastern time. The Dropbox will be closed, and that's it. But the winner for the next time will win Scalar 2 in chords. So a couple of great plugins that, again, are going to help you be the best producers you can be. And all you need to do is get in and start a track that might be the track that sets you off into fame and fortune. Who knows? Or just gives you the practice that you need. Every musician needs to be in and practicing all the time. So now you have a little bit more motivation to get in and get it done.
Doesn't really matter what length, does it? I mean, it probably wants to be 8, 16, 32.
Yeah.
16 or 32, I guess.
No, let's 8 to 16.
8 to 16, okay.
Yeah. That's what this last one was. And that's, if we have another one like August, who's going to give you 50 million little edits and we can't even play the tracks on stream, like 8 to 16, the maximum 16 bars, and just give us the drop of the track that you've imagined, and we can imagine the build up and breakdown.
Yeah.
But again, thanks to everyone who submitted, everyone who was a part of our recap today. You did a phenomenal job. Sorry we couldn't play everyone's track on stream. We went way over time. We planned an hour. We're at an hour and a half. But August, again, round of applause. You killed it. You showed us what was possible and what dreams may come, my friends. So congratulations. Email support@Loopmasters. And the last thing we need to do before we wrap up, Rob, is I need my list of winners.
Hey.
I've got it here.
Cool.
Let's go ahead. Okay, so the winners of 500 Loopcloud points for being a part of the community and a part of this stream. Kathy Dollar, which I'm guessing is the somehow related to Mr. Let me see, Greg Dollar, who unfortunately we didn't get to play their track today, but you win 500 Loopcloud points. So that's awesome. Asoda Music International, you win. Guy Soffer, 500 Loopcloud points coming to you. Jackie Hester, and the final winner is Tom Johnson. So oh my gosh, the wind is coming in. My lights are falling down. The rainstorm is coming, Rob. It wouldn't be a great stream if something crazy didn't happen. I'm telling you. Last time I was the person at the door, if you remember. So you all win 500 Loopcloud points, the 5 of you. If you missed who won, just go ahead and rewind it. It's on stream. This video will be archived for you to watch again. Email support@loopmasters.com and just say I'm a Loopcloud production workshop winner, and they'll get your points sorted out. Of course, you'll need a Loopcloud account. So if you don't have one yet, go ahead and sign up today. But anyway, Rob, I think that's it.
Yep.
Contest winners will be announced the next live stream. I'm not sure when that's going to be because, Rob, if you didn't know, I'll be traveling on the 11th, but we can figure it out. It might be the 11th or the week after. We'll have to figure that out, whether or not Rob wants to go solo on it. But thank you for joining us today. Thanks, Rob, again, for being a co-host with me and walking through the tracks. You did a phenomenal job, as usual. And that's it for me today before my lights break down. Everything's going crazy, Rob.
we better shut this down before your house falls down. And...
I feel like the world is saying it's time. End the stream. So thanks again. Thanks to all the winners. Thanks to everybody who entered, and thanks to the 10 people who did phenomenal jobs. And sorry again for those who we didn't get to recap. But we got another one coming now, and we got another one coming in a couple of weeks. So keep active on the community, and I'm looking forward to seeing those names again inside of the winner's circle, if you will.